Hello dear all beautiful students, welcome here for joining this class of science. We were in the chapter 4 in previous time. Also we are connecting here with the new topics, that is the fertilization. So today we will discuss about the fertilization. You know, it is the process of sexual reproduction when mating male and female parts, or male gamete and female gamete, and form the fruits actually getting in the floral plants. And very importantly, I want to say one important thing, that how can the fertilization can falling on down and how can it going on through the process. It is very simple and very important for understanding that part, and I will just make a drawing figure, and that can help you for understanding how can we draw that one. So just follow this figure here. I already draw this type of figure in before also, but this time we will discuss about how can fruit formation and fertilization can be done. Pollen grain, you know the male part here, and this is the pollen grain. Okay, pollen normally you can write the pollen or pollen grain. Okay, and this one is the stigma to fall down, and here the female reproductive part, that means the ovary is there. Just draw the figure as like as me. This one, in this way we will draw the figure. And pollen, when pollen comes from any other flower of the same species or the same flower of the same species fall onto the stigma, the pollination occurred. This is called the pollination. What we actually understand in our previous lecture, that is previous, that is the pollination. Pollen grain from the anther come from here to the stigma is called pollination. Then after what happened, then the next process is the fertilization. So we can say here very first one, that is pollination is the precondition of fertilization. Pollination is the precondition of fertilization. Pollination is the precondition of the fertilization. Then pollen grain fall into the stigma. Okay, when it fall into the stigma, there is some secretion of that pollen and creating a tube, that is called pollen tube. So here a tube is formed inside it. A tube is formed inside it, and through this tube the pollen and the pollen nucleus always, look at here what the figure I have drawn. Pollen grain fall onto the stigma, start pollination, then after secretion, some secretion, there is a channel is created, that is called pollen tube. And in the pollen tube there is two nucleus, that means a pollen can also bearing two nucleus, and these two nucleus come to the tube and go forward. This tube come. Okay, pollen nucleus or tube nucleus and generative nucleus. One nucleus is known as the tube nucleus. This is the tube nucleus, and this one is the generative nucleus. These two nucleus come from where? From pollen grain. Yes, actually it is going on through very important process. I just make you mind the which way the fertilization can be done from, and how can we go through understanding about the fertilization process. So my dear students, many of you are joining instantly. I have seen, I can see here Jaima, Rubayat Karim, Shraddha Rubayat Karim, Yamin, Shahin Begum, Shubhecha, Adrito Bhattacharya, Sohel, Juhana, Rafi Rohan. Walaikum salam everyone. And I hope so that it is very easily understandable, that many of the students don't know how can they will be answered if it is asking for this one. It is very important CQ types of question, and lots of time in previous study you can see this question is asking for. Okay, fertilization process is very important process for in case of this chapter. Okay, and how can it form as fruits. So fertilization and fruit formation we can go through understanding. I told you, I just try to make you understand what is going on in the fertilization, then I will give you a HW. Okay, I will give you that times. Very first one I want to say, look at here, pollen grain fall onto the stigma, pollen grain fall onto the stigma, and pollination going on through. Then after, a tube is created, that is called pollen tube, and pollen grain contain two nucleus. One is the tube nucleus and another one is the generative nucleus. First one, tube nucleus, go through the tube and followed by generative nucleus. This tube is connecting toward inside. This is the ovary, and in the ovule we have seen, this is the ovule, this is the ovary, this is the ovule. Here also 8 nucleus we have seen. That nucleus name also we need to know about that one. Okay, like that, this is in the center, there is, this two is the related with the pollen. This is the pollen nucleus, generative nucleus and tube nucleus, and these are known as the, suppose this one is known as the secondary nucleus, and opposite part, the 3 nucleus are called antipodals, and in between the center nucleus is called egg, is the egg we can see there actually, and other 2 nucleus are the synergids. This is the inside, and full, these are the ovary, we know ovary. Then inside a setup is the ovule, and inside the ovule the 8 nucleus we have seen. The opposite 3 nucleus can be termed as the antipodals. In middle the nucleus is the secondary nucleus, and in lower part we have seen one is the egg and another 2 is the synergids, and this egg is the female part. Okay, this is the female part, and this one is actually, this 2 is the male part, is coming towards the ovule. So how the process is going on there, these 2 nucleus come towards through the pollen tube, and when the nucleus come at just membrane of that ovule, this ovule is detached and can be break down. Okay, the membrane is break down and open, these 2 nucleus go inside the ovule. Okay, here the ovary, inside the ovule, so these 2 nucleus going on through the ovary, and when they 2 go through there inside the ovule, one nucleus, this, suppose the tube nucleus met with, I just write the procedure properly, I told you, make you understand, and how it is going on through, I just try to make you understand, and you will try to learn it. Okay, and this tube nucleus plus secondary nucleus is also fertilization. It is also male part and with secondary nucleus, and another one is, look at here, the generative nucleus with generative nucleus plus egg, and that is the fertilization. That is the fertilization. And why it is fertilization? The male part containing a nucleus, and female part egg is containing a nucleus. So these 2 nucleus when made together conduct the fertilization. So what happened about the tube nucleus? Tube nucleus going through, made with the secondary nucleus. Tube nucleus 1 and secondary nucleus 2. So with 2 and 1, 3 nucleus made together. So it is called double fertilization. Okay, and the process of it also called trimating. This is also asking for 2 marks. Very important. Trimating. Okay. So how can we explain this one? I can repeat once again the process. Look at here. Very important this one. If you miss this one, you cannot understand from anywhere or any side. Okay, very important things I try to make you understand. Just listen to me and try to understand what the figure is actually going on there and what the discussion come out from me and why it is important. Okay, and I told you in below the figure you must maintain the figure item. Fertilization. I told you what is going on there. What is going on there? There is again the process will be your SW for writing. What I will tell, just not copyright from the book is not given anything, just for having simple discussion. If you write that simple discussion, your mark will be less. Though I check that you yes, you did the hard work, it is okay, I write, but not actually all time it will be okay if you don't follow the procedure of fertilization and don't write accordingly. Okay, so I just repeat once again. I write keyword, but in between them I discuss the total fertilization process. Okay, again once again I want to tell you the total fertilization process. Okay, look at here, and also addition something. Very first one I tell you, the female reproductive part and the female organ in the flower, that means the carpel, having the 3 parts: stigma, style and ovary. And pollen and anther, filament and anther, from anther, any medium or directly in the same flower, no medium, can pollen fall onto the stigma. So pollination start, and pollination is the precondition of fertilization, I have written there. Then there is creating up tube is called pollen tube. So through this tube, the pollen grain with having the 2 nucleus, that 2 nucleus go through this pollen tube and they are moving towards the ovary, and inside the ovule we have seen before entering there is a tube nucleus followed by generative nucleus come from the pollen grain, and one nucleus go through. When come contact to the ovule, the layer is broken out or open. Then the tube nucleus met with the secondary nucleus and generative nucleus met with the egg. When generative nucleus met with the egg, the fertilization is done. And then what happened? The tube nucleus go through mating with the secondary nucleus. Here generative nucleus 1, egg nucleus 1. So normally fertilization. But here another tube nucleus and secondary nucleus when met together, that times it is called double fertilization. Since one fertilization is done, generative nucleus fertilization done, and when generative tube nucleus come towards and mate with the secondary nucleus, 2 secondary nucleus and 1 pollen nucleus or tube nucleus, that is 3 nucleus. So it is called double fertilization, and since the 3 nucleus is there, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, so it is called tri-mating. 3, so that called tri-mating. Suppose what is asking for in the JSC, what is tri-mating? What do you understand by tri-mating? It is asking for what do you understand by double fertilization. Very important question. Okay, and this is the tri-mating. And look at here, N, all the nucleus bearing the N number of chromosome. Okay, egg also N number of chromosome. Here what happened? Generative nucleus N, egg N, and fertilization when it is going on through 2N. Okay, 2N actually the zygote formation. Okay, but here tube nucleus N, but secondary nucleus N plus N, total double fertilization there will be 3N. This is called trimating. Double fertilization, N tube all nucleus, tube nucleus N, secondary nucleus 2 nucleus, so N plus N, total 3N. So 3N is the double fertilization and 3N is the trimating, we can say. And when 3N is formed, only that time this 3N is the endosperm. If there is not formation of 3N, that means no double fertilization, there will be not fruit formation. Endosperm is one kind of fruits, what we say. So this 3N, when it is formed the 3N, the endosperm form and then fruit form, then this total ovary convert into fruits. Ovary convert into fruits. How the fruit form? Fertilization, then fruit formation. In this way the fruit formation going on there. So my dear students, the very important topics I discussed here. I already discussed many of the important topics, very important topics for your public exam or in annual exam or any term exam. I repeat once again. Okay, well, I will tell you here another time the total process, but you will write the description as like as what I told, not copyright from the book, nothing in the book is given. First of all, pollen come from any other flower anther and fall onto the stigma. Pollination start, and pollination is the precondition of fertilization. Then the process I didn't write, but I told they are creating a tube when pollen fall onto the stigma, and through this tube the two nucleus come from the pollen and move towards the ovary, and first one is the tube nucleus and followed by generative nucleus. When they come towards the ovule inside the ovary, this full setup is the ovule. Their tube, the membrane is open and broken out, then the tube nucleus enter in there and mate with the secondary nucleus, and generative nucleus mate with the egg. So fertilization, N+N fertilization and zygote formation. Then after tube nucleus when mate with the secondary nucleus, N plus N plus N's, 3N, since there are 3 nucleus, so double fertilization is there. And trimating, the process is called trimating since the 3 nucleus mate together. When trimating and double fertilization done, this 3N equal to endosperm, that means that times it is starting the fruit formation. And then when this fertilization and double fertilization done, then 3N when form, the total ovary convert into fruits. In this way fertilization and fruit formation can be done. So this is your HW for drawing the figure and elaborate to write. There is another figure given in your book. This figure come out to outside, and here the fruit formation actually, not nothing but this is the figure inside that one, and actually going on through what the outer layer is making, and this is the fruit actually, the fruit formation, all the part is going on there, the fruits. This ovary then turns into the fruits with the layer flesh outside it, full ovary turns to the fruits. In this way fruit formation can be done, fertilization and fruit formation. What I told, not by your own self, listen me properly. If you mistake, if you forgot, if you not doing well, then again when I publish this video, repeat that video. You can just play back this one once again and listen to me and write the procedure of fertilization, fruit formation. Very important these topics. So that's all about today, my dear students. Do the SW and publish this one below the comment box. Allah Hafiz. Antipodals and synergids are destroyed when fruit formation is done, when fertilization is done. They were assistant of them.